if someone's privately struggling with porn right now, considering installing accountability software, what would you want them to know?
I would want them to know how much I respect them. And just if they were here, I would wrap my arm around them and say, "You're awesome." Like you probably don't feel awesome right now, but I just I have so much respect and admiration for anybody, and no matter how low you feel. I've felt that too.
Mm.
Just, just anyone who's willing to take a step toward the light, no matter how dark the places you feel like you're in. And there's support and lots of it. There's so many people who are going to help you, and you're going to succeed. Yeah, you might trip 100 times. Pick yourself back up, and I know it's rough to pick yourself back up, but keep going. Don't stop. Like you can do this.
But in our modern world, that is, I think, appreciating versus consuming beauty.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Porn Free Millennial Podcast. I have a very special returning guest here, Tyler Patterson. He is the CEO of Ever Accountable, an accountability software that I use personally. And I love this software. It's been a great help in my recovery and people that I know as well. And just to let you know, we did have a discussion on episode 46 where Tyler talked through the origin of Ever Accountable, how he got it started. We talked through some of the functionalities of it. And the exciting thing about Ever Accountable, I mean, you guys have been in business since 2012, and
Mhm.
there's been a lot of evolutions as technology has been evolving. And I wanted to get Tyler back because using the app personally myself, there's been some really neat enhancements that I think you guys are all gonna enjoy if you try it out. I think it's something that's a game changer. And I wanted Tyler to come in today and talk about it a little bit of what's changed since the last time we talked, which that was back, I think, it was about a year ago, was the last time that we talked.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's been a little
s-
while.
yeah. So Tyler, hey, welcome back to the show, sir.
Thanks, Mac.
So Tyler, since our last conversation about a year ago, like what's been behind the scenes going on Ever Accountable? What's been changing?
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be back here. So iPhone app, that's a huge thing. That's the biggest thing we've done in probably a decade is the new iPhone app that we rolled out. And I just a little background on why it's important. On iPhone, anti-porn software has historically involved this terrible choice between either you lock your phone down so hard that you basically treat yourself like a kid. That's choice A. Or choice B is you have really weak protection on it that's just trivially easy to get around. And there's been nothing that does both well. Locking it down is a pain in the neck. Like you have to give your PIN to somebody else. You have to shut yourself out of your settings. Like you're turning your iPhone into a dumb phone, basically, if you want to be safe. And then if you don't do all that, then like you can use some of these other accountability or porn blocker apps, but you can just go download Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or YouTube or any of these other apps. Nothing stops you from doing that. And we all know what's in there.
Right.
We all know how that stuff, some of the stuff in there gets you down a bad path.
Sure.
So So there's been no good choice, but we finally, I think we finally figured it out. It took us, I'm not exaggerating, 4 complete rewrites of our iPhone app. And each one got a little better. And the first three, I'll be honest, they were pretty bad, just like every other iPhone app to anti-porn app. But this one, I think we nailed it. Um, and the reason is because it can actually keep you safe in YouTube, in TikTok, in Instagram, in Facebook, in uh, Safari, in Chrome, in Firefox, like any of these apps where trouble happens, it can keep you safe in there.
Wow, so that's amazing. So, and that is something that I witnessed personally, as these updates were coming through with Ever Accountable, and I was keeping my eye on it, like using it. Yeah, I started to notice things that are a little bit different on the iPhone because I did have it, I have it on my computer as well. And one thing I wanted to ask too, so these updates, like the in-app stuff, that was that already in like Android, like PC, was
Yeah.
that it was already there, right? Because it was just easier to do that on a coding level.
Yes, that's right. They have far fewer restrictions. Our Android app's been great for a long time,
Okay.
and Windows and Mac as well. But finally now we can have solid protection on an iPhone and do it without locking it down to where it's practically unusable. So you can be safe from porn in 2026 on an iPhone.
Yeah, and maybe explain a little bit about that. So, like, let's just say, like, I'm in my iPhone, right? And like, I want to go like on YouTube. How it works, right, is you mark YouTube down as one of those apps that, hey, it might be kind of danger territory that might get me in trouble a little bit because we
Mhm.
all know that there's some apps that are it's a little bit sneaky that way where we want to justify it in our head, like, hey, I'm not like going to look at porn on YouTube, but you get those shorts. I think shorts are kind of like shorts are always dangerous, I think. Like real
Yeah,
shorts, those short term, because if you're flipping through things like on TikTok, I think the algorithm just knows like, hey, we got this guy here. He likes women. We're gonna serve him up one every few swipes or something like that. So let's just
yeah,
say, so if I'm gonna go into YouTube, how does that exactly work? Like if I have it on like that list of apps that are going to be tracked.
yeah. So you list all those apps that could possibly cause you trouble, and then if you can see my screen, I've got so this is my home screen right here.
Yep.
And notice like any of these apps, like the calculator and my Gmail, I can use those anytime. But YouTube is grayed out. I can't just open YouTube
Yep.
unprotected. It shields it from me. But I can use YouTube when I need it. It just takes like 3 seconds. I have it hooked up to the side button and I tap start broadcast and it's not actually recording anything, but now now the system is running. You can
Yep.
see there's a little light here, up here
Yep.
and and you can see YouTube is not grayed out anymore. So now I can use YouTube. And what's happening it may look like it's recording a video, or like a screen recording. It's not. It's just using an AI to take a snapshot of your screen every second or two and see what's on there. And then the AI runs on your phone. It's very efficient. It uses like 1% of your battery. And and if it sees anything, then it takes action fast because it's right there on your device and it catches it and you were telling me before we started recording a little bit about like how it's been working for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, a funny story. So, and I think this was actually on my MacBook, but I like to watch the UFC fights, um,
Mhm.
typically with my dad. There's a good fight on tonight, actually, that we're gonna watch. But we were watching, and it was just two guys like wrestling, fighting each other, their shirts off, obviously, because it's UFC. And we're watching, and this flag comes, at the top right corner of the screen. And it says like potential like sexual images, like get this off your screen. And I just looked at it, I'm like, that's interesting. And then, a few seconds later, it's just like, hey, and like the color of the label's different and it's like an escalating message. And I believe it's 3 messages you get, where it's just like, hey, like we're gonna alert your accountability partner now because that goes on your accountability report as well, which I think is really interesting. So eventually, like it kicked me off. like the page. And that's happened to me before too, where I think if you're on there too long, right, like it will just
Yeah.
boot you out.
Yeah. And that's configurable. You can set it, and we're adding more layer levels
Right,
too.
right, right.
So you can configure it more. But yeah, it probably saw those guys in their, I don't know,
Yeah, it's like, what are they doing?
whiteys or whatever, and it's like according to your settings, you shouldn't be looking at this.
Yeah,
It's an
yeah,
AI, it doesn't know how to make a moral judgment, but
yeah,
but it got tripped, and it takes action fast.
it
It
does.
warns you and it tells you, hey, your accountability partner is going to see this, and I have another friend who uses this, and he says like, just if there's ever a temptation to just, hey, look at these beach photos or whatever it is, it's like, no, it's going to kick me out of there so fast. It's pointless. So the temptation just melts away to go to that stuff.
Oh yeah, and let me show you. I'm gonna unblur my background. So Um, if you guys can see my screen here, this is kind of the settings screen, and I think it's that filtering and monitoring right here. And this is that sensitivity. So I've got it on the full blocking setting. So what it says here is we'll block sexual content, nudity, and immodest clothing such as swimsuits and exercise clothes. So actually we'll block it as well. And then what we have here, it has show warning messages. So the warning messages will come up on your screen and it will flag it. And I think what I had to do, at least to watch UFC, is I had to go to the lowest setting for like no blocking. But what that means is it's still going to report like your activity
Yeah,
to your partner. So, and that's a big part of it too, right, Tyler, is when you sign up on this software, you choose an accountability partner, right? And they'll get alerts, and they'll get a weekly report as well of any unsound activity, right?
that's right. And that is so powerful. So we I'm a programmer, I'm not a psychologist. I have my theories about why accountability is so powerful, but
Right.
just what I know is it works. We have people who use just blocking. I mean, this really good AI blocking, and then people who use just accountability, and we survey them to ask how effective it is. And accountability is 3 times more powerful than just blocking alone in
Hmm.
our surveys of helping people stay away from pornography. And that's like the best blocking compared to the best accountability. There's just something about, and if you have any psychologists around, they could probably tell why better, but there's just something about knowing someone can see what I'm doing. Oh, I'm gonna just turn it off and go do something constructive. And that moment is such a win when you're you're like at that crossroads holding your phone or on your computer and you're like about to go start down a bad path. It's like, do I go down that bad path or do I just put it away and go do something else right then? And
Hmm.
that's why I think it's so important to catch it before it turns into like full on pornography. If you can catch it when it's earlier, maybe just when you start scrolling TikTok and those women or whatever it starts showing up on your screen, catch it right then.
Totally. And I think I was telling you too, there was I had like it was might have been like 2 or 3 weekends ago. I was up late. Something kind of emotional happened that was out of the blue. Definitely was
Hmm.
like more like in the yellow territory than I've been before. And I started going like YouTube Shorts and having that software in there, like automatically, I saw like the red light started to come on. Because I
Yeah.
think what happens too, right, is if it is something that's like could be triggering content, I
Hmm.
believe like the light gets like bigger and bigger. From what I noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just try and let you, hey, we're watching.
I know. It reminded me of like 2001 Space Odyssey with Hal, like the eye was like looking at me and I was like, "Oh, okay." I'm getting into I'm starting to inch into some like red territory. And that like snapped me out of it because I think
Yeah.
with all of us, right? There's just certain moments where it could just be the littlest thing. We could be having a bad day. We could be distracted. We could just not be maybe doing those daily activities that work for us, right, in recovery to where, we're at our best, or we're at least at a space to where, we're not really feeling super tempted or we don't have a lot of cravings. But there will be some times, right, where those cravings, they're a little bit louder, or they seem like they might be a little bit tastier, where we just want to take one little bite. And me personally, like using the software, that was just something that what else would have helped me, right? Besides knowing that, hey, my accountability partner, hey, he's already going to be alerted that, there's some stuff going on, right? That there was some image there. But also for me, I've got something that's showing me like with that red light with a flag that it's telling me, hey, like this is triggering stuff. Like, get this off your
Yeah.
screen. I think those are the moments that really can change your day. It can change your trajectory and your sobriety, right? Because if you didn't have that, like what else are you going off of really is kind of like willpower. And we all know, I think, when you get kind of sucked into that vortex almost, I like think it's kind of like this gravitational field. It's like you're really close to the Death Star and it's got its like tractor beam on you, right? And it's pulling
Yeah.
you in. And it's just like that feeling, right? To where you're telling yourself, hey, I really should put my phone down, or I really should like, get outside, go on a walk, but
Yeah. One
yeah,
more, or
just
whatever.
one more. Like, when are you going to stop? And I think the software, from my experience, it does a great job of like just putting that line in the sand right there and just saying, hey, like, get out. I get out or else we'll kick you out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, all the AI that's coming out in the world kind of gives me some anxiety. I don't know where things are going to go. It's exciting but this is one of the things that's really good about it. Uh, 5 years ago, this was not possible that we
Mm,
could have like immediate alerts popping up on our device the moment something bad shows up on there, something that's going to cause us trouble. Now we can. It's like this whole new possibility of protection for people. These phones and computers, they're causing us a lot of trouble when it comes to pornography
big
and
time.
distraction and anxiety, but they can also bring solutions if we'll just go get the good stuff and use it.
Yeah, and I know you're talking about with or one thing I want to talk about too is, can you explain a little bit about how, like, I for so basically for every week there's a check-in. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna unblur my screen really quick. Oop, I just turned off my screen. Let me unblur it real quick here. So if you guys can see at the top of my screen, there's this check-in right here. I'm gonna go ahead and just press it because I'm due for one. So basically, you have to start your broadcast, and then it starts analyzing, I believe it starts analyzing your screen
Hmm.
like that, and then it's done. What's going on there when you're doing that check-in part?
So that is another thing we do to make sure that to provide accountability for getting around stuff. For instance, there's nothing stopping you from downloading an app
Right?
and not listing it under the apps that need protection. Well, actually, there is something stopping you. It's the weekly check-in because if you go to the App Store and you download a new app that's not protected,
Hmm.
and you go in there and you start searching around for stuff, problematic stuff, then when the weekly check-in comes, your accountability partner is going to get a report, and they're going to see, oh, he used whatever the app was for 45 minutes or whatever, however long. And hey, now you get a phone call. "Hey, what'd you do in that app? For 45 minutes on Tuesday night or whatever it was." And just knowing that that phone call is going to come is our protection to help you to not fall into that trap.
Or if let's just say I have YouTube, it's on my list of apps that have under that, and then I remove it. That
Yeah.
will send a message to the accountability partner as well, right?
Actually not right away. I wish
Not
we
right away.
could. That's an Apple restriction. But if you use it without it being protected, your accountability partner will get a notice when the weekly check-in comes up. So basically, as long as you use it right, your accountability partner will know you're using it right. But if you skirt around it, um, then they'll get notified that you skirted around it too, and then you have some explaining to do.
Right. Yeah, I think at one time, so like I use Snapchat a lot with I've been using it since college with my buddies. It's like my just stupid videos I send to my friends. That's why I like
Okay.
Snapchat. But obviously Snapchat has some parts too that it can get into deep water. So whatever I like want to like really, if I'm having a day where I'm really talking to my buddies, I'll like let my little brother know to say, hey, I'm gonna take it off real quick, talk to my buddies and then put it back on. Because the thing with Snapchat, I believe, is it shows like when you're screen recording. So sometimes it's like a little bit awkward if I like talk to someone, it's like, hey, it's a screenshot of your screen. And like, yeah, my buddies know like that I have a podcast and I talk about it. So they're pretty cool with it because I'm like, hey, I'm actually not like, whatever you just said that was stupid. I'm not like trying to, get blackmail on you or anything.
Yeah.
But it's just an example of I gotta remember like my brother's like, hey, like why'd you take like Snapchat chat off, And it's just another thing there to where I have to explain, well,
Mhm.
hey, this is why I'm using it, this is my plan to get back on. So I think it just like you're saying, when with all this stuff, really, it's not like everything's going to be perfectly like kick you out all the time or whatever, like which it will, I think, if it's actually, tracking it and you got that screen share on the broadcast, but it builds in that layer of accountability. I think that's more of a behavior thing to where you have to just talk through like how are you using your devices. I talk about that a lot too, like on the podcast of, just knowing your environment and like knowing like, hey, like what is it? Like where are you going? Like what apps are you using? Like what's
Yeah.
that thing? Because it's different kind of for everybody, right? Like some people don't really struggle on their laptops, but maybe it's their cell phone or vice versa. I think that's like an interesting thing because it opens up that dialogue to where
Mhm.
it's more of a behavioral talk because ultimately that's what it is, right? I think it's like our behaviors and I think it helps correct like the behaviors that are there
Yeah.
personally.
And it's powerful. Like 95% of people who use accountability software, at least ours, they report immediately a huge porn reduction. 95% of people. Like where do you get that kind of success rate? Is there a I don't know, a diet or a gym membership where 95% of people will stick with it? It's pretty phenomenal. It's just accountability. It's this age-old principle. When you know you have to report for what you're doing, your performance just gets better.
Mm, I love that. And so so you're saying 95% of the people that download your software, they see immediate results.
Yeah, immediate
That's
result.
that's an amazing statistic right there.
They report more hope in the future. They report they feel more confident, and even 63%. So more than half of them just don't look at porn at all anymore once they've got accountability software going.
Mm,
And and like let's be let's be honest, it takes a little bit of courage to install accountability software.
yeah.
Or a lot of courage as it's an individual thing, but it's not like just a blocker where it's going to run quietly in the background and it's just going to do its thing. I mean, I'm not knocking on those, but if you want the real benefits, getting accountable to someone else is hugely powerful in quitting pornography or staying away from it. And it's like you said, it's the conversations when you're just being open with someone. Hey, I started going down a path today, but I pulled out of it.
Mm. And that's what I think too. Like what I've witnessed, I've been my little brother's been my accountability partner for more than 3 years now.
Awesome.
We actually started, I think it was called Accountable to You, was where we first
Mhm.
started. Because I remember, and this part of the podcast might just be me telling everybody about just accountability software in general, how it changed my life. But that was like when I was going through my divorce, and it was just a really rough time. I remember, like we were the divorce papers finalized like I think it's March 25th is going to be like the 3 year anniversary of that.
Mm.
But I was going through this period where I was like just really sliding around, like we separated. I was like living at my parents' house. And I just remembered I was just having a really hard time kind of getting back on track with my sobriety. I was kind of just like flopping around everywhere. And I remember talking to my accountability coach or my recovery coach, Vern Tomke, um, who he does the Finding Traction and Pastors on Porn podcast. But he's like, man, he's like, you just gotta just install some accountability software. And I'm probably speaking for a lot of guys. I just, for some reason, just had this like barrier, like where I'm like, I just like, do I want to spend this much money on this? Or, like now it's gonna be more invasive, like, or maybe even to, I think as a guy, sometimes we have like a lot of pride and we're kind of like, do I really have to do this? Like, I'm kind of like a grown man. Do I really have to put some kind of software like on my devices, right? So it's all these like things and all these like reasons I keep telling myself like why I don't need to do this. But like you're saying, I just had the courage and said, you know what? It couldn't hurt. Let's do it. And this is kind of a cool story about software because right when I did that, because when you get an accountability software, it's like, okay, who's your partner? So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, hey, talk to my little brother. I'm like, hey, you want to do this together? He's like, yeah, let's do it. And that started what has been like one of the best parts of my life. My life.
Cool.
My little brother and I speak to each other almost every day. Every day. Literally. Like if we're like on a trip or something, sometimes weekends we'll just send like a quick one. But like every day, my little brother and I talk to each other and we open up to each other. And I mean, I've always been close to him. He's like six years younger than me, but
Hmm.
we've grown like so much together. It's kind of funny when we see each other at family events because we're like, we already kind of know what's, going on, that day with each other. But
Yeah.
that's what accountability software did in my life was it opened up that avenue to where there's like a structure, right? There's a function, there's a software, and then it connects us. And I think with accountable to you, it was funny because I write Porn Free Millennial on my podcast and my Substack. So every time I was like pulling up my site, I think that this is like if I type in porn, it's like sending it. So then that I was like, okay, let's use a different software because he was just getting blown up like every day. Um,
Yeah.
but ever accountable has worked in such a great way, for us, using that because we have that weekly report, and then we also have, just any kind of alerts that come up, which I think are great, man, because I think, typically when we're checking in with each other, like we're personally checking in, how we're doing that day. How's our sobriety? Are we
Yeah.
struggling a little bit or are we feeling pretty good? Typically, we're talking about like how we're feeling, like what our emotions are like, what kind of activities and recovery we're doing. So typically, that's your spiritual life, physical health, your relationships, and then also your passions. Like, what are you passionate about? And then sobriety, like where are you at there? And then any kind of threats to sobriety, and then what kind of tools are we going to use? So it's like, well, it's like you're already having that conversation, and then hey, maybe he gets a flag from me later at night that's like, hey, like Mac's kind of in the yellow zone or something. That will give him that automatic like, hey, we talked about this earlier today. Hey, what's going on? And then I think as accountability partners, you start to get like a history of the person's journey of like, hey, what is it? Is it like Friday nights? Is it Sunday nights? The Sunday scaries? I think that's typically, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's like the highest amount of porn usage is typically it's like Sunday nights, from what I've read,
Yeah.
which is interesting. So then I'm sure like, and you've probably seen it with working with people using it is it's almost like you can start to pinpoint like get that data behind like what are your behaviors or like what are your patterns, so to speak. And sorry, I just
Yeah.
kind of went on for a bit, but
No, that's good. And it's, you mentioned courage and these things we tell ourselves or this little voice in my mind, like, oh, I'm tough. I don't need that. And it- it's not true.
Hmm.
there's a bunch of lies surrounding porn, and one of the lies is I don't need help. I can beat this on my own.
Hmm.
That maybe in a world where we weren't inundated with pornography all the time, that was true. But now when we have algorithms deliberately tuned to to get us and keep us hooked, it's and when we've got it in our pocket all the time, we've got one of these things like a porn machine in our pocket
Right.
at all times, day and night. How how could an alcoholic stay sober if he had a flask in his pocket at all times, just
Great point.
waiting for him to have a weak moment? Like in 2026, we need to keep ourselves safe. We need to take some steps, and life's too short not to,
Hmm.
There's too much goodness out there. Um, Another one of the lies I think is that I can't be happy without porn.
Hmm.
It's a subtle one, but I think like, how could I ever be happy if I don't have this thing to turn to?
Hmm.
And yet it's such a lie because we are so much happier without it. Quitting porn is just worth it 1,000 times over. The confidence you get, the like what you're giving up every time you look at porn, you start to see it when you quit. Um, if I would say to anybody who who's like on the fence about pornography, like try it for a couple months, even 1 month. Try it for 30 days. Just and if you try ever accountable and you don't like it, like I'll refund you. I do that whenever someone says it doesn't work for me. I'll refund them. It's I don't want to take money from somebody who's not benefiting, but just
Hmm.
try it for a little while and see the difference. Your confidence, like you start wanting to work for your dreams, make something out of yourself. Be someone you can look in the mirror and be proud of. Like that stuff. That's why I started Ever Accountable. And I'm sure that kind of thing is why you're doing what you're doing, Mac, with the Porn Free Millennial. Like it's just worth it.
Yeah, and I think you hit on something pretty profound, I think you start to look at the world differently.
Mm,
I think with porn, when you get sucked into it, and I think a lot of people are in a spot where, like I was, where you just feel like you're just really stuck, like you're lost, you don't know what to do. And like I just shared, right? When I downloaded that accountability software, a little over 3 years ago, like that was a milestone moment, I think, in my recovery. Because before that, I never had any accountability software. And, I'd have sobriety, streaks and stuff. But
mhm.
once I downloaded that accountability software, and once I, really, was I started to use your guys' accountability software as well, it really just it adds in like that friction to where you're doing like recovery smarter, not harder. Like it's like
Yeah.
like I would say like the threshold, right? Like I think the accountability software that gets me like into like 85, 90% to where I'm like I'm cruising, right? Like I'm like I got 85, 90% like that kind of stuff, like those temptations like without the software, like I'd be probably more at like, 60% or 50% to where if I'm kind of struggling or, I'm having a bad day or I'm not really in a good routine, it's more of like a coin flip. Not like right now, but I'd say like when I was like really struggling, it was kind of more of like a coin flip of like where I'd be that day. It could kind of go either way. But once you put the accountability software in there, you have an accountability partner. Like we said, that's really important. It like increases that threshold of living into who you want to be and seeing a world that's bigger. I think that's what I wanted to get to is I think when you're in this porn prison, your world gets like a lot smaller, I think. Like it gets a
Mhm.
lot smaller. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like you have this infinite amount of porn, but it's not like really giving you anything back. It's not really giving you any value back. And then it's like once you remove that from your life, then it's like your world, it like opens up and you just start seeing things and you're like, whoa, like I can look at a woman without like having to, declothe her in my mind. I can go to church and I can feel like God's love wash over me. and not
Yeah.
feel like I'm just this wretched soul, you know? Like you can start to work on things, um, I think in such a more meaningful way. Because I think with the porn, for me at least, it was just always like lurking there. It's like that monkey on your back. It's like that shadow to where, hey, none of us are perfect, right? But I think it made like working on myself or like my past relationships, it just added to that weight, right? Because that credit card balance was not being paid off. Like it just kept going and going and going, right? And building. I'm like swiping I think that's kind of like with porn, man. I think it's like you're swiping like a credit card. And it's like you're not actually like giving up any like cash, but you're chipping away at yourself. But you're just swiping, thinking, hey, like yeah, like I've got like unlimited credit card limit here. Like I can just keep going and going and going. But eventually, I think that balance comes due to where you got to pay it at some point, you know?
And it comes due like every day, and it just
Yeah.
weighs on you. Yeah. And the porn, it doesn't bring any, like it's like eating dust or something.
Hmm.
I was thinking the other day, if this is a Bible metaphor, but and God told the snake in the Garden of Eden, you're going to eat dust all the days of your life. And I think, and a snake represents Satan, and like anything that comes from that, like pornography is like eating dust. It might seem for a minute like it's filling you up. Imagine, but if you had nothing but dust to eat, imagine a bowl full of dust for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day for the rest of your life. Like, how hungry would you get? It just will not fill, it won't satisfy. And we know that with porn. Like, it starts off with just people maybe in exercise clothes, and then less clothes, and then no clothes, and then doing more and more and more extreme things. And it's you're never satisfied. You're never like, okay, I'm full, I'm good. It's just like this insatiable craving that's never going to be filled. And yet it lies to you and tells you that you will somehow, and that you need more, but you get more, and then it doesn't satisfy you. And the whole time it's swiping that credit card against like against the most valuable parts of yourself.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lie. Porn is just, it's all a big lie. And when you get away from it for a little while, you see what you were missing, and it's so worth it. I know I harp on that. It's worth it 100 times over. If you're on the fence about quitting porn, just do it for a little while and see how much better you feel about yourself. Get good help.
Yeah, and I think that's something too, right? Is I mean, if I could count the number of times like I tried to quit porn in my life, like
Hmm.
it'd be so many, right? But then when I look at the times like where I was actually pursuing recovery
Yeah.
with like a strategy or with guidance or with mentorship or with an accountability partner, there's a sizable difference, right? Because I think sometimes like when I work with guys or I talk with people, it's kind of like, hey, like, this just isn't working for me. Like I tried to quit porn, doesn't work. And the follow-up question is always kind of like, okay, like what was like your strategy? Like what did you do? Um,
Yeah.
and I think typically, right, it comes back to this like white knuckling of, well, I just didn't, I just avoided it or I quit it or whatever. But when I look back, I mean,
Never will.
the moments that were like really meaningful moments to me were like moments of like connection to where I wasn't doing it alone. I was looping in somebody else. I think that's again why the software is so helpful. Really, and like what you said, I mean, I'll put it up on the screen, but like, I'm an affiliate partner with you guys, which has been really awesome. It's got a 14-day free trial, and then 20% off for a membership. And I think you guys even, I think, adjusted it to where I think you can do it monthly, or by the year, which I think is great too. Like you're saying, hey, if you just want to do it by month, see how it works for you, like try it.
Yeah.
Because I can't stress enough, like really, like those times really when I was really struggling with things, the accountability software, like we've been talking about this whole time, it does this thing in your mind, this psychological change, I think, to where you're actually doing it differently than you've ever done before when you've been trying to quit it. It's like a completely different way. And you guys have, I think, nice guardrails in there, necessary friction. And of course, that important piece of having that accountability partner and the check-ins to where I think it starts to teach us, even if we're like really new to this, and it's like our first time that we're really trying to like, live a different life. I think it adds in like some really healthy things that, I mean, not just for porn, but I think just for living your life or like living as a Christian, like things that we should be doing, where we should be, open with each other. We should be vulnerable. We should be sharing, things that we want to be working on, repenting, doing that kind of stuff. It's built in, I think, into the software and to what you guys have built.
I feel like accountability software is like a cheat code
Mm,
in in our world where we've got these screens all over the place. It doesn't get you 100%
yeah.
to like lasting recovery, but like you said earlier, Mac, I think you said like 85, 90% of the way there. It's just all at once. You can jump ahead to 80 or 90% of the way there and just feel so much better. Get so much of the problem under your belt by being accountable. And yeah, willpower is another lie. Like you just have to try harder. There's something wrong with you because you're not trying hard enough or
Right.
something like that. And the voice in my head tells me I'm defective and stuff because I'm trying as hard as I can and I'm still not making any progress. Well, yeah, it's my strategy is off.
Mm.
And just getting a better plan, accountability software, like looping somebody in is so powerful. It's like I believe that for most of us, maybe all of us, you can't do it alone. Not in this world where we're surrounded with it constantly. You can't do it alone, but you can do it with someone else's help. Like you really can. If you feel like and there's times I felt like the weakest person, the like I have the least self-discipline and
Right.
I'm the most distracted and just the most scatterbrained and can't stick to anything, feeling so weak. Like I can do this too. Anyone can do this if we get a plan that works.
Oh, I love that. I know we're getting close to the hour here. So I think just like maybe just looking ahead. So, I mean, like just looking forward with your company or where you see like accountability technology, like what do you think like the next like few years looks like 5 to 10 years? I mean, it might be hard to say just with how fast everything's moving, but
Yeah.
what are you looking ahead at?
Oh man, I get excited when I think about stuff like this. So I want to have, you know, there's a lot of people who are afraid of accountability or say not ready yet.
Hmm.
So I want to have both accountability and a separate blocking product for people who aren't ready. And then we'll nudge you like, hey, you want better results, loop someone in. So we'll probably do that. Um, I am excited to have more AI in the app, like
Hmm.
helpful AI that you opt into. But like, hey, do you want an AI to scan your week and tell you like where your weak spots are and give
Hmm.
you like strategies? For
Hmm.
instance, sometimes it's just something little, Mac, that makes a huge difference. Like charge your bed or charge your phone in the kitchen instead
Yep.
of next to your bed.
Yep.
Just little things like that can make a huge difference. If picking up your phone in the middle of the night when you can't sleep is a problem for you, that's just that little thing is going to change your life for the better. Seriously, it'll change your life. You'll sleep better. You'll wake up with more energy. You won't feel like garbage because you spent hours looking at porn when you should have been sleeping. You'll be on time to work, just like such a small thing can have a huge impact on your life. Accountability software is like that. I think there's a lot more we can do um, with with stuff like that, and maybe more with community too, getting people, making it easier for people to get together. I don't know,
Hmm.
do you have any ideas of where we should go?
No, I really like that idea of utilizing the AI, I think, to provide, strategies, to provide tips. I think, one of the apps I use too is I Am Sober app. I think
Mhm.
that's a really good app too. One thing I love about that app is, it helps, track your sobriety. There's a community feature in it. So almost like a way to like just check in, your sobriety, because I think there's a report a relapse button that you press with Ever
Yeah.
Accountable. but maybe just a way to like track that. And then, hey, having, and maybe this is in there already, but yeah, just being able to check in, maybe even if, yeah, if someone doesn't have an accountability partner, maybe that's something that, hey, maybe within the software, there's an accountability part where, because we know there's younger generations that are more, like, hey, I want to, and I know it can get into some dark territory, but I think it can get some light territory too. If you could have an AI that's there that, you can kind of check in with and just say, hey, this is how my day went. This is what I struggled with, like you're talking about,
Yeah.
building that in. And then, yeah, just having, because I know like whenever I check in with my brother, it's like we'll send each other back and forth voice memos, basically. And so I'll send him one, and then if he's next, he'll like respond to mine and send his, and then I'll respond to his. So it's kind of like we're talking through it, maybe providing some feedback, providing some like, hey, maybe I know last week this really helped you, that kind of thing. Just having like a history there, to
Yeah.
where, like you were saying, I think that would be a great thing to have within the software is like if you kind of had like an accountability history where it kind of showed you like, hey, it shows you like a graph of like, hey, this is the last relapse. This is what we used. This is what you used. And you can start to get that history down because I think that's helped me out a lot in recovery, just personally, is I know like the awareness part of it for me. Like I know like what gets me in trouble. It's often if I have like a poor sleep, or if I had some drinks with some friends, and maybe I'm waking up a little bit groggy, or if just something kind of comes up that's like emotional. I remember I had a relapse, like it was going to be like my next wedding anniversary. It was like the first year I was divorced, and I did not handle that well. It just hit me like a freight train. But those are things that in my life, I'm kind of like, okay, when these things come up, like I told you, like the 3-year anniversary of my divorce is coming up in a few weeks. Like I want to be like ready for that moment. So if there is a way that the AI could like maybe have some of these dates or things where maybe it gives you a little bit of a heads up, be like, hey, or if someone passed away, something like that. Like those, there's times in our lives I think we're a little bit more tender, we're a
Yeah.
little bit more susceptible. And then that's sometimes when that bad habit wants to kind of claw its way back in, is during those tough times. You were talking about alcohol earlier, right? Like I think that's something that happens with people that struggle with alcohol. Could be like, hey, this is the year anniversary of like my wife passing away, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
For some people, that might be like, hey, like I want to go to the bar. I just want to drink. I think those things we don't think about sometimes, but it's kind of like autopilot, when we get there. And I think porn's the same way, but I think porn is just so integrated, it's so accessible
Yeah.
that it could just be like, boom, like you're there. And so having something like that within the software, which I think you all are already doing a phenomenal job. But I think, yeah, I think those would be some ideas that I would have is integrating some of that. But I know we're closing out. I think I got one more question. I think we covered this already, but
Yeah.
this might be a good place to end. If someone's privately struggling with porn right now, considering installing accountability software, what would you want them to know?
Oh, I would want them to know how much I respect them. And just if they were here, I would wrap my arm around them and say, "You're awesome." Like you probably don't feel awesome right now, but I just I have so much respect and admiration for anybody, and no matter how low you feel. I've felt that too.
Mm,
Just anyone who's willing to take a step toward the light, no matter how dark the places you feel like you're in. And there's support and lots of it. There's so many people who are going to help you, and you're going to succeed. Yeah, you might trip 100 times. Pick yourself back up, and I know it's rough to pick yourself back up, but keep going. Don't stop. Like you can do this.
phenomenal. A great message, man. Uh, well, everybody, appreciate you listening to us today. Check out Ever Accountable. I'll have it up on the screen. 14-day free trial,
Mhm.
20% off. And like Tyler said, hey, if it's really not working for you, I'll have to reach out to the big man here. But I think you'll like it. I mean, for me, once I started it, I was like, this is phenomenal. And I think something just to end on too, this is stuff that's continuous. I mean, for me, I write about it, I talk about it. I still have this app on. I still go to recovery group. These are parts of my life that are important to me. Even if I'm doing really well, I keep them there. I keep them there because it reminds me of who I am and who I want to become, moving forward in the future. But everyone, Tyler Patterson, Ever Accountable. Thank you so much, sir. And everybody, have a great rest of your day and keep fighting the good fight.